There are certain people in this world that the Stoics advised us to not associate with. They can seriously cause harm in your life and weigh you down. In this video today, we will list 11 types of personalities Stoicism warns us about. Also, if you notice there are others in your life right now demonstrating these behaviors, remove them from your life immediately. Before we dive in, I want to thank you for watching. Remember to show support by liking the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so and hitting the bell for more Stoic content. Number 1. The charmer. One type of toxic person Stoics warn us about is the charmer. This is someone who showers us with insincere praise and compliments, not because they truly admire us, but because they want something from us. They have an ulterior motive in gaining our favor through excessive flattery. The Stoics advise us to be wary of charmer and see through their efforts to manipulate us through false praise. A sincere compliment is one thing, but when compliments are over the top, it's often because the person wants something from you. The charming individual might be working their way into our good graces to seek a favor, acquire influence, or just boost their ego with our approval. Whatever their intention, their excessive admiration is a tool for their gain, not an honest reflection of our abilities. The Stoics warn us not to be taken in by these tactics. It's important to examine the intentions behind extravagant compliments and to be careful not to overestimate the flatterer's words or complying with their requests. Insincere praise does us no good. A wise response is to see through the compliments to uncover the actual intentions of the person offering it. Number 2. People who always want more. Another toxic personality type the Stoics warn us to be wary of is the greedy. These are individuals consumed by material desires and the pursuit of wealth. Their unstoppable desire for more affects their judgment and character. For the greedy, accumulating money, possessions, and status symbols is the primary driver in life. They constantly want more, never feeling they have enough, even if they are already rich. Their greed knows no limits. They will scheme, exploit, and step on others in order to gain more wealth and possessions. The greedy see life as a zero-sum game, where more for them means less for everyone else. They don't share because they want everything for themselves. Their greed also makes them profoundly insecure. No amount of wealth is ever enough to satisfy them. Stoic philosophy identifies that greed comes from a belief in not having enough. The greedy are never happy because they always feel they lack something. This destroys their peace of mind and integrity. The Stoics advise us not to be controlled by greed. There is great freedom in being satisfied with having enough and focusing on things of true value, character, wisdom, and serenity. The greedy have a distorted set of priorities, chasing money and possessions over virtue and inner peace. Their judgment is compromised by endless cravings. The Stoics warn us to avoid the path of the greedy or be jealous of their wealth. More does not mean better. Fulfillment comes from within, not from external material gains. Number 3. People who always want what others have. The envious are another type of toxic individual the Stoics advise us to avoid. These are people that hold resentment, the talents, successes, or possessions of others. They are continually jealous of what others have. The envious feel that another person's good fortune comes at their expense. They operate from a mindset of scarcity, assuming life is a zero-sum game. So when someone else gains something, they think it means less for them. This wakes up resentment, insecurity, and animosity within the envious. They act out of these feelings by trying to undermine those they envy. The envious person will attempt to belittle others' talents, dismiss their success as luck or privilege, and spread nasty rumors. Basically, they try to cut down people they see as above them. Envy also makes the envious person spiteful. They can't stand seeing someone else get ahead, so they try to spoil it rather than find inspiration in others' accomplishments. The envious person's jealousy leads them to make disapproving remarks, deliver backhanded compliments, and secretly revel when the envied person faces misfortune. The Stoics recognize envy as a type of involuntary moral weakness that comes from not having enough wisdom, but they point out that it's up to us to choose if we act on that envy. The smart approach is to view others with goodwill and celebrate their successes rather than holding resentment. We should be inspired by others' talents to cultivate our own virtues rather than falling into envy's trap. Number 4, the angry. Another problematic personality type the Stoics warn about is the chronically angry person. These individuals are prone to frequent rages, bitterness, and desires for revenge. Their temper overpowers their reason and judgment. The angry person is set off easily by minor provocations, real or imagined. They tend to view others' actions and words in the worst possible light and are fast to take offense. They carry grudges over long periods, refusing to forgive or let go. Stoics saw the roots of anger as frustration and a sense of helplessness. The angry person feels they are not getting what they deserve from the world. Such feelings lead to resentment and the desire to react negatively. Rage and retaliation become their way of asserting control. When controlled by anger, people cannot think clearly or act constructively. Their anger obscures their ability to think clearly. Driven by their resentment, they tend to use harsh words and make impulsive actions, which usually aggravate the issue rather than resolve it. The Stoics suggest that we should not mimic the behavior of angry people. While anger might be an automatic reaction, the choice to act on it lies with us. The intelligent move is to pause and reassess when we feel agitated. Allowing anger to take over only destroys our own peace. It's far better to act from a place of thoughtfulness and self-control rather than holding on to minor resentments. As Epictetus stated, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Number 5, those who constantly complain. The Stoics caution us against imitating the chronic complainer, a draining character type. Such individuals are constantly negative, always finding something to criticize or whine about. They tend to spread more darkness than brightness. Even minor issues are exaggerated as big problems. For the complainer, nothing is ever satisfactory. Rather than take constructive action, the complainer just whines. They play the victim, acting powerless when they could take steps to improve things. Complainers are always looking for others to sympathize with them, and they tend to make their complaints known widely in search of attention. This behavior creates a negative atmosphere that impacts both themselves and their peers. What complainers don't understand is that their constant lamenting only deepens their own unhappiness, leading to a harmful mindset. As Epictetus stated, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters." The Stoics teach us not to mimic the complainers. Though we may face difficulties, we only make things worse for ourselves by excessive lamenting. It's far wiser to focus on making the best of what we can control and taking constructive action rather than wallowing in negativity. Hardships are inevitable, but we decide whether we meet them with wisdom and resilience or pointless complaints. Number 6, the self-pitying. Another tiresome personality type the Stoics caution us against imitating is the self-pitying individual. These people have satisfaction in their own misery and set themselves as victims at every turn. The self-pitying person takes no responsibility for their circumstances. They blame other people, fate, the universe, and anything but themselves for their troubles. Their attitude is, "Poor, pitiful me. I deserve better than this unfair world." This boosts a mentality of powerlessness and resentment. The self-pitying individual expects others to protect them and make things right. They spread their sad stories to gain sympathy and assurance that they aren't responsible. But this victim mentality keeps the self-pitying person trapped. By making themselves out to be a victim, they evade accountability and the need to take action to improve. Their focus on themselves leaves little room for empathy towards others' struggles. The Stoics caution against indulging in self-pity. They recommend adopting a balanced perspective on life's highs and lows, rather than miring oneself in negativity. When faced with adversity, we should focus on what we can control and build resilience, not portray ourselves as victims. Challenges are inevitable, but we decide whether we meet them with maturity or melodrama. As Marcus Aurelius stated, begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all due to the offender's ignorance of what is good and evil." Number 7. The arrogant. Another toxic personality type Stoicism cautions against is arrogance. The arrogant possess an inflated sense of self-importance and superiority over others. Their excessive pride blinds them to their flaws and actual standing. The arrogant person presumes they are always right, the best at what they do, and deserving of special treatment. They are convinced of their superior talents, intelligence, status, and entitlements. This leads them to talk down to others and view advice or criticism as beneath them. An arrogant attitude breeds intolerance, disrespect, and hostility towards those deemed lower. The arrogant individual is unable to recognize their mistakes or limitations because that would shatter their grandiose self-image. Their pride leaves no room for humility or self-reflection. This makes the arrogant unteachable. They reject useful feedback that would help them improve or show consideration. They also have trouble forming genuine connections, since relating as an equal does not satisfy their need for dominance and recognition. The Stoics warn against the folly of arrogance. They advise cultivating humility and recognizing our human fallibility. Pride should come from living virtuously, not inflating our own importance. As Marcus Aurelius stated, "You have no right to pass judgment on others at all. Their natures are the ones responsible. Their dispositions have become as they are, under compulsion of character and necessity." Number 8. The selfish. Another problematic personality type discussed in Stoic teachings is the selfish individual. These people prioritize their own interests above all else and lack consideration for how their actions impact others. The selfish person tends to view everything in terms of what's in it for me. Their main decision-making calculus is how they can personally benefit. They pursue their own agenda without weighing collateral effects on others. This leads the selfish person to take advantage of people, ignore others' needs, break promises, and shirk duties that do not immediately serve them. They see no issue with benefiting at others' expense. Their excessive self-interest blinds them to their social obligations. This creates a reputation for untrustworthiness and disloyalty. The selfish individual may achieve short-term gains, but loses relationships and respect over the long run. Their cynicism and exploitation breed conflict and isolation. They fail to experience the fulfillment of mutual care and support. The Stoics caution that selfishness is ultimately a hollow path. We are social creatures meant to live in harmony, not conflict. Seeking to elevate others brings more meaning than elevating only oneself. As Marcus Aurelius stated, "What brings a person tranquility is to do what's right and to be focused on the well-being of his fellow man." Number 9. The stubborn. Another problematic personality type discussed in Stoic philosophy is the stubborn individual. These people adhere rigidly to their opinions and refuse to listen to reason or compromise. Their inflexibility makes them difficult to deal with. The stubborn person insists on having things their way no matter what. They are unable or unwilling to consider alternative perspectives, advice, or possibilities. Even clear evidence contradicting them will not sway their entrenched position. This breeds resistance to change and growth. The stubborn individual would rather persist in folly than adjust course and admit being mistaken. Adopting a more thoughtful approach would require opening their mind instead of clinging stubbornly to assumptions. Their rigid fixity also keeps the stubborn person from accommodating others' needs in relationships and collaborations. Everything becomes a power struggle rather than a mutual exchange, their way or the highway. This tends to alienate people. Stoicism teaches the folly of stubborn rigidity. While principles are important, the wise retain flexibility in applying them with reason and care. We harm ourselves when we refuse to adapt to changing circumstances or listen to wisdom from others. Our goals should be truth and improvement, not to rigidly stick to a sensitive ego. Number 10. The insensitive. These people lack empathy and care little about how their words and actions impact others. The insensitive person does not pick up on social cues or understand others' perspectives. They are tone-deaf to what might hurt, offend, or upset someone. They plow recklessly ahead with their agenda, without regard for the effects. This insensitivity breeds hurt and resentment. The insensitive person leaves a wake of bruised feelings, anger, and people who feel devalued. Yet the insensitive remain oblivious or indifferent to the harm caused. They do not reflect on how to conduct themselves with greater tact and care. Their harshness and lack of empathy tend to alienate people. Mean-spirited humor, blunt criticism, and callous disregard erode goodwill and trust. The insensitive person's relationships stay shallow because no one feels safe being vulnerable around them. Stoicism advocates developing greater empathy, compassion, and care in our conduct. While we cannot control how others receive us, we should aim to interact with kindness and consideration. Thoughtlessness yields discord and isolation. Thoughtfulness yields understanding and community. As Marcus Aurelius stated, a wrongdoer is often unaware that he is doing wrong. Number 11. The cynical. Cynical people dismiss sincerity, idealism, and goodness as gullible or foolish. Their reflexive skepticism poisons hope and erodes community. The cynic assumes the worst of people's motives in anything positive. They are scornful of virtues like honesty and compassion, believing no one genuinely upholds such principles. The cynic's default is derision and distrust. This cynical posture stems from disappointment and protects their ego. If they reject virtue as real, the cynic avoids feeling naive for believing in goodness or let down when it fails. Yet their skepticism becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, pushing people away and degrading what they doubt. The cynic's caustic remarks and hair-trigger doubt tend to alienate others. Their derisive humor and refusal to believe the best corrode human connections. Beneath their protective scorn lies sadness about the good they feel cheated of. Stoicism teaches that, while evil exists, we must retain faith in our collective potential for virtue and goodness. Cynicism is corrosive. It saps our power to improve society. Though disappointed, we must remain open to sincerity and work together to increase justice and compassion in the world. As Marcus Aurelius stated, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." If you've been listening to this entire video, thank you for your patience and attention. These insights from Stoic philosophy can serve as valuable reminders in our daily lives, helping us navigate the complexities of human interaction and maintain our own moral compass. If any of these Stoic lessons resonated with you, feel free to start a Stoic discussion in the comments. Stoic discussions are what the great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca advised for, as they encourage reflection and growth. If you liked this video and it made you think, please remember to hit like and subscribe for more stuff like this. Your support means a lot. And as always, I hope you find calmness and a sense of peace in following the Stoic way.